Hi everyone, Janie here. Welcome back to my garden. As you can see, we are actually inside again today. We are in the middle of a massive heat wave here in California. It is the hottest week of the year and we are in September. I am so over this. I am ready for fall. I am just like, I'm inside in the air conditioning and I'm still hot at this point. So it's supposed to get up to around 111 degrees. It's just too much. And I cannot be outside in that type of heat. Even in the mornings, you only have a certain amount of time before things start getting too hot and you can feel things start to warm up. So I am spending this week, I'm trying to be inside as much as I can. If I am outside, it's very quick. It's to check on my plants or it's to water my plants. And that's pretty much it. I didn't even send my kids to soccer practice this week, and it was their first week back in soccer practice because I just don't think it's healthy for them to be out in that type of heat. So I have been looking at my plants. I have been checking them. So far, they actually seem okay. I've been giving them a bunch of extra water, and I don't have any casualties yet. Actually, I take that back. I have one zinnia plant in my cut flower garden that the emitter must be clogged or something because that one did die already this week. But I feel like that's the only casualty I've had so far, knock on wood. So last week I did a video where I was sowing my next round of Cool Flower Method seedlings. I sowed a bunch of snapdragons and I showed you all me putting them in my seed starting shelf. And this seed starting shelf I have inside. I usually have it in my bedroom actually, which is kind of embarrassing to say, but it's true. I have a very small house and so I don't have a lot of space to put things. But we are getting our master bathroom remodeled and stuff is kind of all over the place. It's just about done. I think that he's actually going to be done today. So hopefully that'll happen. Hopefully by the time you guys see this, the master bath will be done. So we moved it out to the kitchen. I actually really like it in the kitchen/dining area because I can keep my eyes on it and I can watch it and I can see when I need to spray it with water or take care of it. So I have a feeling I might leave it out here. It just moves around the house and I'm okay with that. So last week in that video, I had a couple comments and questions asking me about my seed starting shelf and what the setup is and where I got the shelf and where I got the lights, etc., etc. So I thought this would be a perfect opportunity for me to talk about my seed starting setup and then I could stay inside in the air conditioning. So thank you for those questions. Thank you for giving me the idea of doing this video. So as you all know, I am a huge advocate for fall sowing or the cool flower method. And that is where you sow your seeds now, and then about 5, 6, 7 weeks before your first frost date, not your last frost date, your first frost date, you put your seedlings out and you let them sit there all winter long. So I am right in the thick of it for seed sowing right now. Now is the time for me to start sowing my seeds. If you all are going to sow your seeds the normal time, which is, the winter/spring, with the goal of putting your seeds out after your last frost, then you probably wouldn't need to, start putting together your seed starting shelf until January, February, March, depending on what zone you live in. But I think it's important to talk about it if you all are interested in doing the cool flower method or the fall sowing, because you need a seed starting shelf, right? It's too hot to be starting those seeds outside. The best way to do it, I think, in my opinion, is to start your seeds inside in a comfortable, happy environment where the poor little seedlings are not going to dry out in our heat and not get burnt to a crisp. And then once things cool off a little bit, then you can plant out the seedlings. So first off, let me take you through my current seed starting system. And I do have to say, this shelf is not available. It's such a bummer because I feel like it is the perfect shelving system for a seed starting station because of the width of it. It is 48 inches wide, 4 feet wide, which is absolutely perfect for the shop lights that I use for my grow lights. So let me take the camera and I'll show you guys a little bit closer look of my system. So here is my seed starting system, my seed starting shelf. And I put this all together myself, as I'm sure you you all can tell. I think I am really happy with it. This is my 3rd year of using it, and I think that it works absolutely perfect for me. I wasn't willing / couldn't afford / didn't want to be able to afford one of those fancy systems. Those look fantastic and they look great. And maybe one day I'll be able to buy one of those. But at this point, this works perfectly well for me. And it was a fraction of the cost of one of those one and done seed starting shelves. And I feel like I have more space on this shelf than I would if I bought one of those. So the backbone or the spine of this whole system is this shelf that I actually purchased from IKEA. Jason and I purchased this, I want to say like 10 years ago, literally. And we purchased it for storage in our garage. And unfortunately, you cannot get this anymore from IKEA. The reason why it's so great is it's not too deep. It's just deep enough for one of these trays. But the width fits these shop lights that I use for my grow lights absolutely perfectly. So it was just a lucky thing that it was the right size, and I already had these, and I actually have one more in my garage that I will absolutely use as another system if I need more. I am using soil blocking now at this point in an effort to try and save some space. So far, the soil blocking is working absolutely perfectly, and you can see this is 72, and this is 20, 40, 60, 80. This is 120 in this space. So 72 versus 120 little seedlings. So you can see what a massive space saver it is. So you cannot get this shelf anymore, but just hold tight. The goal of this video is to show you all how you can set up your own seed starting system. Like if I was to do it from scratch right now, what I would purchase and what I would use, and not spend as little money as possible, because I want to spend my money on plants. I don't want to spend my money on this type of equipment. I have found a couple options that I think would be good for you guys. So stay tuned for that. So what I have here I have these grow lights. They are LED grow lights, and I actually purchased them. They're shop lights. They're meant for garages. I actually purchased them from Walmart, and they're the Walmart brand, and I think that they're perfect. I read a blog article and I cannot find it right now. If I find it after filming this, I will link it down below, but it was somebody who had talked about these, talked about the different kelvins and lumens that are necessary, and said that this was a really good option. And it's so easy to get. They're about $18 each, which is a fabulous price for a grow light. So all the ones I have gotten are 3200 lumen. I hope I'm saying that right. I get confused between lumen and Kelvin. So basically what it is you need to get a grow light that is bright enough and mimics the sun enough for the seedlings to think it's the sun, basically. So you have to get the right numbers. And basically what this blog post said was the bare minimum is 3,200. And these are 3,200, but higher would be better. So I actually just purchased a new one of these that's actually 5,000 lumen. I'm pretty sure lumen's the right word, 5,000 lumen. And so they have those options at Walmart as well. But these, I do have to say that all of mine are 3,200 and my plants grow perfectly well. So I would say anything 3,200 lumen and above, you're doing great. If you can get a 5,000 lumen one, then you're doing really, really good. And I will go over all the options that I found online and link it below. So I did get one for each level, and there are 1, 2, 3, 4 levels. However, I didn't have I don't need a ton of space at this point. So I actually took my light off of the bottom shelf and I doubled it up on this shelf just to give these seedlings that much extra light. But you can see on this shelf, I still only have one. So it's kind of up to you how you want to handle it. This is not an ideal perfect system, but I feel like it's a really, really good option for the price and how much I ended up spending on it. So these lights do come with chains, and I just hooked them around the shelving system, and it worked absolutely perfectly. I can't raise and lower. I mean, I could raise and lower it, obviously, with the chains and just do it tighter. But actually what I do is I just put trays, upside down trays, underneath, and that is how I raise my seedlings up to get a little bit closer to the light. So you can see this delphinium, it's doing really, really well. I wanted it real close to the light. I am gonna take this saran wrap off. Okay, I have to say, in my last video, I was using the Legos to keep the saran wrap off, and then that didn't work very well for me. So I went through and I made these cardboard frames. Here, let me show you. So what I did is I cut pieces of cardboard. So that they would fit in the trays because I'm doing soil blocking. I don't want the saran wrap to hit the seedlings. I want there to be a little bit more of a lip. And with these trays, there's not very much of a lip, right? So then the saran wrap would lay straight on the trays. So I made these cardboard, I wrapped them with saran wrap, and then I taped them together. And then I can put the saran wrap over it. It's working perfectly. I feel like I should make these and sell them because it just works absolutely perfectly for this. So anyway, side note with that, I know we're not talking about soil blocking today, but if you guys are soil blocking and we're having the same problem I was having, I was using Legos. They worked fine, but every time I lifted them up to look, the Legos would kind of fall over. So this whole little system works a lot better for me. Okay, so like I said, I don't raise and lower these. I can, but I just feel like it's too much of a pain in the butt. And so I just use trays to lift the seedlings up. So after the lights, I connected all the lights to the shelving system. I do have these heat mats, and these are a little dirty, so please ignore that. But these heat mats are 10 inches by 20 inches. They fit perfectly on these trays right here, or they fit 2 of these cafeteria trays that I'm using for soil blocking. So they work really, really well to help with germination. I bought only 4 of them, and I feel like that is all I need. I do not feel like I need more than that, and you probably could get away with only using 2 because you only need the heat mats when you're germinating. And then you take them off and you put them just straight on the shelf like this. You don't want to leave the heat on for too long. So this is something I would buy. I would say if you're trying to save money, just invest in 2 and don't worry about it. Then what I did is to deal with the mess of cords, because I have a cord for, excuse my garden hat. I have a mess of cords. So I have a cord for each light, and then I have a cord for each heat mat. So there's a lot of cords going on, and I feel like this is the biggest drawback of this whole system, is because you kind of have just this mess of cords. So I tried to wrap them around my shelving system to make it as nice and clean as possible. It really doesn't bother me. I would love it if it looked a little bit better, but this is what I'm dealing with now. So I have 2 power strips, one right here and one right there. But the main thing that I have is in this power strip, I have a timer. And what this timer does is that it allows me to plug in the lights. And so the lights, all I do is I turn them on, I plug it into the timer, and the timer turns them on in the morning and turns them off at night. Again, it's not necessary, but this little timer was so cheap and it is so incredibly useful. I would say just spend the money and invest in it, because remembering to turn them on in the morning and remembering to turn them off at night is really, really tough. So just having a timer makes it all worth it. I do not have my heat mats connected to the timer. These are all the plugs for my heat mats. They are just on all the time when I have my seedlings on the heat mats. They're on all night long and all day long. And then when I'm done with those, I will just unplug it and not worry about it. So that is my setup that I've been using for the past 3 years. It's worked perfectly for me. My seedlings grow, they're not leggy, they're really, really happy, and I'm super happy with my setup. And like I said, this is just a pieced together setup in an effort to save as much money as possible. So what I wanna do now is I wanna go on my computer and I wanna show you all some options that I found, either the exact same items that I've purchased before or similar ones. Like obviously I don't have access to that shelf, but I found other ones that I think that would be work perfectly well and very similar, and still get you guys a seed starting system for a very, very cheap price.
So here is the shelving unit that I found from Amazon. It's just a good option. You know, I was just trying to find good options for you all that weren't too expensive, but were still good and would work for this seed starting shelf. The main dimension that I was really looking at with these shelves is the 48 inches wide. That's the most important dimension for me because that would make them fit these 4-foot shop lights that I get from Walmart. They're called Hyper Tough, which I guess is just the Walmart store brand, and this one's 5,000 lumen. The ones that I have in my system right now are actually 3,200 lumen, so I could even go up a little bit. I bought one of these, and I think I'm going to start replacing the ones that I have now, but anywhere 3,200 to 5,000 is going to work perfectly for getting your seeds going. Then I wanted to include the heat mats. If you get 2 of these and put them side by side onto that shelving unit, that will be absolutely perfect for using a heating mat to get your seeds germinating. Again, I have 4 of these. I don't think you need 4. It's nice to have 4, but I don't think you need 4. What I do think you need is this plug-in timer. This plug-in timer will allow you to plug in your shop lights and turn them on in the morning and turn them off at night. I leave my lights on for about 16 hours a day, and having this makes all the difference in the world.
So all in, the whole system, if I was to do this whole thing again, it would end up costing me around $230, which compared to, you know, when you look at the other seed starting systems that are for sale, that are absolutely gorgeous and beautiful, those are over $1,000 sometimes, comparable to the ones to what I'm doing here. Actually, the one that I found that was over $1,000, it actually had one less shelf than this one does. So yeah, you know, I don't think that there's anything wrong with getting a full set system, you know, one that's ready to go. It would be a lot easier, and yeah, it would look better in your home. I just don't have the funds for that right now, and I know a lot of you are in that same situation. So I think that a video like this is really helpful to see what you can do and to know it's gonna work well. It's gonna work really, really well. So let me know if you have any questions about this. I have the links to everything in the video description down below. I hope you all enjoyed this. I hope you all are thinking about starting seeds yourself, and I hope you all have a chance to get into your garden today.